involved with, you'll be able to stop by the front office and we can put some of this in there for you. But you know, maybe you can have their names, Miss C, Miss J, Miss... Yeah. Yeah.
In the summertime, I know a lot of us meet up with other kids for my clients. Do you have to put,
no.
For them?
No, you never indicate other TSS and other clients. No, you don't have to do that. But if you were at home and grandma's there and mom and Aunt Josie comes over and during that time period you're all having interaction together. But if Aunt Josie came and picked up a cake and left, no, she doesn't have to be listed. Somebody over here have a question? Tina.
For my client, working in school and then after school, he's in the Boy Scouts, but he remains in the school for the Boy Scouts.
It would still be part of the school. I think I have talked with your BSC about yours. But it's still at the school.
So that does not need to be separate.
It's still at the school.
Correct.
Kim.
The principal comes in on a daily basis to our address, so I have to include him on the note because he has direct contact with the kids. He comes and talks to them every day at some point when I'm there.
If he comes in and your client has interaction with him, I'd put him down. Steve.
Going back to the part with the two-note thing, I know like on the notes that we have now, you're able to put on the same note, home and community, but you just differentiate between the two on the section here.
If you go to different settings, you have to have separate notes.
Separate note.
You have to. It's one of the things that unfortunately I learned through the State Documentation Committee. You are in different settings. Each note has to be separate.
Okay.
One note per setting. Lindsay.
Like, who are you supposed to live?
I'm sorry, when you're in the community,
Who are you supposed to live?
if you're not coming in contact with adults, you're not seeing the parent at the home, you don't have anyone to live.
My client, I dropped it off to the parent, but
It's you and your client. You're transferring skills to your client. You don't have it. But if you and your client are at a daycare program, or she goes to camp, she goes to ESY, well then you have regular people that she has interaction with. But if you're going out into the community and just interacting with other individuals, then that wouldn't be the same as these adult. No. Alicia.
A lot of times, environmental class to allow like 15 minutes in the home for reviewing everything from the day in the summertime. So then that would have to be a completely separate note. Because I used to put it down as like home time.
Wouldn't that be under non-billable 14 and there's a parent/caregiver at the top? You're not billing towards that 15 minutes, are you?
Well, usually because the client is right there and...
Are you redirecting or is the parent redirecting?
Well, usually like the client will also, explain to the parent.
Because giving a parent a wrap-up of the day is not a billable activity for TSS.
What is it?
Giving the parent a wrap-up of the day is not a billable activity for TSS.
So, like, being right there with the client, going over, like, transferring skills of, okay, then, explain what you did, okay, this is what I did, then that's not how...
Transferring skills is different than giving a summary of the day.
Well,
I'm just trying to determine if, because I don't think that you would be able to have those be. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Because I'm going to have to think about that.
I think there's going to be specific questions to like each of your clients' specific needs, and I definitely think that you should ask those questions and take those into consideration as we're transitioning to the note. And we will be coming back to all of your individual supervisions once we have your notes ready to be used. So we're going to be typing up BSC by BSC, and we're going to be visiting with your supervisions when your notes are ready, and that'll give you another chance to be able to review your notes, and then we can talk about maybe even a little bit more specific things to your clients and what their needs are.
So let's move on, because there's lots more sections and I anticipate a lot more questions.
Sure. So the next page is content of a progress note, which is where you're going to start writing about your client's behaviors. And I'm just going to scroll down. I'm going to be following on page 3 of the John Doe note. And it's on the top, it says treatment goal objective, and it says safety awareness. So the treatment goal and objective will be typed in for you when you have your own client's paperwork. But however, when you provide coverage, you're just going to write in the behavior that you're told is what you're going to be working on with the client. On your client's paperwork, you'll check off boxes of the behaviors that you've witnessed, and then you're going to write the frequency of each behavior on the line next to the behavior. So these are going to be typed in for you, and you can check off the boxes of the behaviors that you witnessed, and then you're going to be tracking each of those behaviors and then putting in the frequency count. And if a behavior that's not listed there occurs, there is some space for you to write that in and indicate that. Interventions utilized during the session are also pre-printed in, so all you have to do will check off the boxes that you've used intervention-wise, and then we also left another box blank for you if there's another intervention that you're going to use with the client.
This will also be able to customize this. Right now we've got a pre-printed bunch that we're putting on there. Let's say Shannon says, for this client, we never use feeling identification, but we use something else. So we'll be able to go in, and the BSC will be able to go and customize it to you and your client.
The positive and negative response section is where you'll write about the responses that the client has to the interventions that you use during the session. So it's exactly what you're doing right now. The response section is the same. So you're going to, if you used an intervention, how did that client respond to that? And then the positive and negative results, what happened as a result of your interventions. So that's the only section within the goals that you have to write a narrative about.
So you can see you're cutting out this whole section of writing with just indicating the behavioral issues you've seen and how many times you've seen them. So it's cutting out a bunch of writing and then just adding in something if it's something new that your client hasn't done before. You're cutting out the whole part of writing about the interventions usually that you utilize. So you can see that that's cutting out a whole bunch of what you used to have to do before, and hopefully that's going to take less time for you. The numbers that you're getting from here, you'll be doing on the behavior tracking sheets at the end of the note. Does anybody have questions about the treatment goal section down to the intervention section before we move on to the more difficult section? Marcia?
Where's the new, where would you put the new, like if we saw new behavior, where would that go?
You would be able to put it in any space that you have in this
Just
area.
write it- so
You can just write it in. I want you to think of this as a living, breathing document for yourself. Don't think of, oh my goodness, like I don't know exactly where to write that behavior. Anywhere in the behavior space. For the interventions, you do something that isn't a normal intervention that you've utilized before, you can put it in the other section. Think of this as your document, it's not here, I don't know what to do with it, write it on there, okay? Steve?
Hey, where is this other section you're talking about?
The additional
Right
lines.
here?
Okay, because I know like when I go to the daycare in the mornings, like I'll get a feedback from the teachers of my kids' behavior prior to me being there. And the note we have now, we have like the other
We
section
didn't
where you
get to
can
that
write.
section yet.
Okay, all right.
That's going to be down further. Good question, though. Did somebody else have a question about this part so far? Okay, great. Adrian, if you could advance it down to this next part.
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to just mention was that you also have to cross out any unused lines in your response section as you're doing now. So if we move down, the new parts to the note start here with assessment, and that's where you're going to list any challenges, successes, external or contributing factors that are occurring during the session. So I gave you some examples of what could be potential like external or contributing factors, such as there was a fire drill, a substitute teacher, testing, a schedule change due to half-day or weather delay, and things like that. Those are only some examples for you to get a feel for what we're looking for. The assessment should be specific to your client and their treatment plan. So I don't know what your client's potential challenges could be during the day. So if you see something that they're struggling with or having a difficult time with, that would go in there. And then things that they do exceptionally well for the day could also go in there. Something they've done that they've never done before and they've had a success with it. You know, you want to list those kind of things in the assessment.
The parent who was involved in the state work group really felt like most of the notes that she saw from all of the different providers who gave samples didn't ever focus on the strengths. So that's why the state felt really important that there be a portion to focus on being able to list successes that the client has. That's where, Steve, you would put the item that you were just talking about.
And your codes. So
And any of those kinds of things that happen. But also, you know, just assessments of the different things that happen that were unusual. Think of that as unusual and challenges and successes. And we have that listed right in there to help prompt you to think about that for the day. That's okay.
And then the skills transference, this is also the new section. You have boxes to check off whether you've transferred skills to your client, the teacher, a parent or caregiver, and we also left an other box. So we're looking for what skills were transferred and how were they transferred. So some of the examples that it could be is that the TSS modeled the picture schedule to use with the client to improve compliance. TSS practiced conversation starters with client. TSS modeled appropriate use of client sticker chart to parent. These again are specific to your client and their treatment plan. So it's what you're working on with your client. And then you're just checking the box and listing that.
We really feel you can utilize your treatment plan to look for things that I don't think that we all realize the things that we do every day, but you're utilizing things from the treatment plan in the interventions that you utilize every day with your client. Well, they're producing a result. So I think this is going to help you see what skills you transferred to someone that you were with that day, whether it's the client, the teacher, maybe an aide, there could have been a substitute teacher that you transferred skills to, you're working at home to mom or grandma. It's just going to help you if you stay focused on your treatment plan and then just find someone that you transferred skills to that day. As I said, most of you do transfer them every day and you don't even realize it.
Would we be checking client and teacher?
You could. You absolutely could. If you transfer skills to more than one person, indicate it. And as I said, this is your briefing document. I've added another line in the note that you'll have, so you'll have more lines to write on. And if you needed to use the space in between, you know, you can utilize that. And just write smaller. Remember to print clearly, though. Any other questions about the skill transference section? Yes. Okay.
The plan for next session will no longer be the TSS will continue implementing the treatment plan goals on. You have to check off either continue current treatment plan objectives, consult with BSC regarding effectiveness of current treatment plan, or assignments and follow through. So in my example, I checked off consult with BSC, and I said TSS will consult with BSC regarding interventions for inappropriate noise making. So you're looking for a brief explanation of what's going to be worked on until you provide services again. Another example could be client will make one positive statement about themselves and share it with TSS. Or based on parent report, TSS will consult with BSC regarding aggression in the home. So you can choose also a behavior that the client had difficulty with that day, and you can work on it the next day with them. So that's another thing that you can do to plan and work on.
So for this one, maybe you could have used working on safety awareness. If you couldn't think of anything else that you needed to work on, you didn't have anything to consult with the BSC about, there was nothing you were leaving for